In the words of Flight of the Conchords, it's business time. It's business. It's business time. In the Champions Cup. I am going somewhere with that, by the way. Yes, we've got the round of 16. This is one of the most exciting weekends of rugby of the entire year, and it comes just at the right moment. The Six Nations is now in the rearview mirror. The summer internationals seem like a mile off, and the big playoff games in the URC Top 14 and Premiership still in the future as well. So this is exactly the injection of excitement that we needed. I do think, as I've said before in previous videos, I do think that there is some tweaking they can do with the format of the pools for the Champions Cup, because 4 games, only 8 teams are actually eliminated. But here we are. We've got the best 16 teams in Europe and South Africa, 6 teams from the Premiership out of the 8 that started, 5 French top 14 sides, 5 URC sides made up of 2 South African teams, 2 Irish teams and a Scottish team, and they shake together in the round of 16 like this. The times, by the way, are UK time zone, so this is what I'll be doing. I'll be sitting down and watching. Well, some of the games are on at the same time, so I'm going to have to make a choice. But where I don't have to make a choice, I'm going to watch every single minute of rugby that I can. Friday night, nice, easy. Get on the sofa for 8 o'clock to watch Harlequins versus Glasgow. On to Saturday, you've got the Bulls v Leon lunchtime kickoff. Then you've got to make a call. What are you going to watch? Exeter v Bath, Stormers v La Rochelle, and then you've got evening kickoffs, Bordeaux against Saracens and Leinster against Leicester, with Saints, Munster and Toulouse Racing, your choices on Sunday. That is awesome. This competition, I love this round of 16. The quarterfinals and round of 16, 2 of my favourite rugby weekends in the whole year. So yeah, make sure you hit subscribe on the channel so you don't miss any of the videos. I'll be doing loads through the weekend, reacting to the games as they happen. Get stuck in the comments down below. I'm going to pick out some of my... I've got 2 fixtures that are absolutely tip-top of my list that I think are going to be absolute blinders, and then I'll give you my thoughts on each of the fixtures, who I see coming out on top, where the balance of power lies. So with the 2 games I'm most excited about, number 1, Northampton Saints against Munster. Partly this is the romance and the history of the competition. These 2 teams have played against each other in a Champions Cup final in years gone by. The great names you remember from the past, but do you know what? There are 2 great names that hopefully will be turning out this weekend, who, this is the story of the game for me. It's Peter O'Mahony and it's Courtney Lawes. The 2 men likely to be wearing 6 for their team, and one of them, they could be wearing that number 6 jersey for the final time in this competition. A competition that's been such a big part of their story at those clubs. So Courtney Lawes, we know, is leaving. Peter O'Mahony, we don't, as I record this, aren't sure what the future may hold for him. It's meant to be something that's in discussion, and we'll find out imminently. It's a rematch of a game that we saw back in December, wasn't it? And it was Saints who managed to get a really good win away from home at Munster. Munster were 20-10 up at half-time, and then Northampton Saints managed to win 26-23 away. The young Finn Smith bossing things. Jack Crowley for Munster, he stepped up on the international stage. That's an interesting little matchup as well. Munster were the 14th best qualifying team out of the 16. So Northampton were the 3rd. They had a really good pool stage, but they will be without Mitchell or Furbank. I think this game is an absolute cracker in the making. And the other one that I cannot wait for is Stormers against La Rochelle. It could be epic. It was a really exciting game back in December when this game happened in the pool stage. Again, we got a lot of repeat fixtures from the pool stage. That's one element I would tweak in the format, because I think there's an easy way of avoiding that. But that said, the game in December in Cape Town leads me to believe that this could be quite exciting. It was 21-20 to the Stormers, and after all the talk of Marnie Libbock's goal kicking being an issue at the Rugby World Cup, it was a touchline conversion from Libbock which won the game for the Stormers. They made a lot of errors. They will be better than they were, but then La Rochelle have been gradually getting better, finding their old form, because they have not been the force that won 2 Champions Cup titles in a row. They're going for 3 in a row. It's never been done before, and they're not going to give up their title easily. That is going to be a belter, and what a stage. As I say, this is as good as club rugby, domestic rugby gets. Outside of international rugby, this is the highest quality of rugby a player can play. So if you want to make a statement for an international jersey, this is the place to do it. Evan Roos is one of those guys you would be looking at that he needs to step up, and he's going to be up against Gregory Aldrit for La Rochelle. Does not get a bigger or better challenge there. So that is a great little matchup to watch. And then you've got subplots like Dylan Lades and Raymond Rule heading back to South Africa as well. Cannot wait for that game. Those are the two that I'm most excited about, but there's great rugby wherever you look. Leinster versus Leicester. They've played each other in both of the last 2 years in the knockout stages. In the quarterfinals 2 years ago, and Leinster won at Leicester. Relatively narrow scoreline, but I was there working on the game last year in the round of 16 in Dublin. It was an absolute beatdown, and I fear that it could be a repeat. It was 55-24 last year. Leinster are looking ominously good, and after falling at the final hurdle, they'll be absolutely desperate to do better this time round. Looking elsewhere, a all-French clash. Toulouse against Racing. I think the fact it's in Toulouse makes Toulouse heavy favourites for this one for me. They were in the same pool, but they didn't play each other. Now, Toulouse have got Roman Untermack back. Racing are probably going to be without Le Garrec and Gibert, so both their halfbacks. They started the season really well, did Racing, but look vulnerable. And I really wanted to see Dupont v Le Garrec. I hope we still get to see that, but I fear an injury to Le Garrec means we won't be able to. Toulouse in this competition at home, I expect them to win. Exeter against Bath, an all-English clash. This one's a lot harder to call. Both teams had really good pool stages. Bath beating Racing, Ulster and Cardiff. Exeter beating Toulon, Munster and Glasgow. Unknown quantities. Bath improving. Exeter managing to work wonders with a load of kids, so that should be really exciting. The Bulls against Lyon, that was an absolute cracker of a game in Lyon. It finished 29-28 to Lyon. Bulls probably feeling like they coulda, shoulda got a victory in that one. I think in Pretoria, different matter altogether. French team's notoriously bad on the road, and I expect the Bulls to win that one. Marco van Staden, I'm hoping he's fit. He picked up an injury though in that game in Dublin. There's a lot of travel going on. That's one thing you have to consider for these South African teams playing away from home. The Bulls have been in Dublin. They're back to Pretoria to play at home. And if they win, they'll be back travelling to Europe again. So a really tough schedule potentially. The Bulls did manage to beat Bordeaux at home. So I think they'll have too much for Lyon. As for Bordeaux, they host Saracens. It was an absolute humping in the game that they played in the pool stages. 55-15. And Bordeaux just ran riot. I guess being sentimental, how much can Owen Farrell pull out of his team in a one-off match, in a knockout game, a game that Owen Farrell has been involved in so many of the biggest fixtures, won the competition multiple times, could be his last game in this competition in a Saracens jersey. So he's going to try and pull a performance out of his team. I just don't think he'll have enough for the likes of Damien Penaud. And the final game then, actually it's the first game of the weekend, but the last one I'm mentioning, the Hugh Jones Bowl. Harlequins against Glasgow. Hugh Jones, his current side is Glasgow, his former side is Harlequins. Actually, I've just checked and he's not going to be available by the look of it. I think a foot injury is going to keep him out. That one could be points. And either team could absolutely call that one. When you look at how the quarterfinals might shake down, so the way it's organised is they've predetermined who will play who. The winner of Toulouse Racing will play the winner of Exeter Bath. The winner of Leinster Leicester plays Stormers or La Rochelle. The winner of Saints Munster plays Bulls or Lyon. And the winner of Bordeaux Saracens plays Quins and Glasgow. If I were going to get my predicting hat on then, this is how I think it looks. Step number one, I think there are 4 fixtures in the round of 16 which I'm confident to call, and 4 that I think are much, much harder to call. I'm confident Toulouse, Leinster, Bulls and Bordeaux will win their games. I'm less confident about the others. I think they're tougher to call. But if you had to push me, I would go for a Northampton win over Munster, a Bath win away at Exeter and a Quins win at home to Glasgow. Stormers La Rochelle, though, coming back to that game is the one I'm most excited about of the weekend. I find that so tough to call. La Rochelle are the champions, 2-time champions. They only narrowly lost in Cape Town when they weren't playing that well earlier in the season. Massive men, but then South Africa, they're used to having huge men. If you have absolutely had to push me, I'm just going to edge home advantage and the fact that La Rochelle don't appear to be the team that they have been in previous years. If that is a quarter-final lineup, how good would that be? We've got a lot of rugby before we get there though, because it's Champions Cup round of 16. Get stuck in the comments, hit subscribe on the channel and give the video a thumbs up. That really helps spread the word. I'll see you on the next one.